Welcome to Behind Recapped YouTube channel. Ukraine-Russia war is heating up in a tough December. Although the Russian army tries to take many measures to have an easy winter, the Ukrainian armed forces do not give the Russians a breather since the war began. We witnessed the glorious victories and successful operations of the Ukrainian armed forces in the first week of every month. The beginning of December was not any different. The Ukrainian army gained. The Ukraine in Donbass, Kherson suffer. Asia and the Black Sea, now not only Russia's newly occupied lands in Ukraine, but also Russia's borderlands and Crimea, are under threat. President Vladimir Putin gave important information on whether the Ukraine war could be prolonged, arguing that everything is going normally for Russia. Putin underlined that Russia is not crazy, it's got the war under its control. At the current stage of the war, Ukraine's supremacy continues to be fed by Western and U.S. weapons, which are not an unlimited supply. A bombshell statement came from Russian President Vladimir Putin expressed that the war in Ukraine could turn into a long-term process as the Kremlin's forces are withdrawn and the air bases in Russia are increasingly under attack. Speaking to members of his personal Human Rights Council on Wednesday, Putin said Russia would not first use nuclear weapons in any conflict. The former FSB director denied reports that Russian troops had fled en masse from the battlefield and would not mobilize more troops, but Putin defended what the Kremlin called a special military operation in Ukraine, comparing it to the wars of the former Russian Tsars, effectively acknowledging it as a war of conquest. As for the slow progress of the special military operations, then of course, it can be a long-term process. But then he talked about the emergence of new territories, commenting that this is a very important result for Russia. Vladimir Putin is waiting for his dreams to come true with his eyes closed to all reality's brushes. Stood up with the news from Crimea. A powerful explosion occurred in the Crimean port. The Crimean port city of Sevastopol is under threat. Russia's only hot water port is about to slip out of their hands. A great statement came from Russian politicians. There is a possibility of an attack on the critically important peninsula, which was illegally annexed by Russia in 2014. After the liberation of the city of Kherson, eyes were turned to Crimea. A possible attack on Kremlin positions on the key peninsula could occur at any time. A regular and vigorous Ukrainian offensive does not seem far to recapture Crimea despite the winter. The new developments in the war, which continues in a harsh and theory way, began to put a lot of pressure on Russia. A powerful explosion in the central part of the port city of Crimea, Sevastopol, lifted Russia to its feet. The resulting explosion sparked fears in Moscow that small territories annexed by Russia might be under threat. According to the information received, a sound similar to a rocket launch was heard from the city of Sevastopol. Mikhail Razvasev, the manager of Sevastopol appointed by Moscow, claimed that the explosion was the downing of a drone by Russian forces. The cause of the powerful explosion heard in the early hours of Thursday morning, and the cause of the noise could not be determined exactly. Brazoshev said in a statement that the sound was a ship belonging to the Russian Black Sea fleet crashing a drone over the Black Sea, but he did not specify who the drone belonged to. Russian officials in Sevastopol, the Russian Ministry of Defense, and Ukrainian officials are not yet willing to comment on the incident. But Sevastopol has been targeted several times by explosions, which Russian officials say were caused by Ukrainian drone strikes. The port city of Sevastopol is vital to the plight of Vladimir Putin and Russia as a superpower located in the southwest of Crimea. It is Russia's only hot water port and also the headquarters of Putin's award-winning Black Sea Fleet. The ships stationed in Sevastopol are responsible for bombarding cities in Ukraine using long-range missiles. Also, in 2014, Putin proved the port city's worth by rapidly annexing Crimea after pro-Western rallies in Kyiv. On the other hand, during the occupation of Ukraine, Crimea was also used as a supply route from Russia to the war zone reserve. Troops, weapons, and vehicles were transferred to the Kherson region via Crimea on October 8th and unexplained. Explosion at the Crimean Bridge and the Kerch Strait damaged the supply chain. Within hours, Russia's new war leader, General Sergei Surovikin, nicknamed General Armageddon, launched mass attacks against Ukraine, while Russia's commitment to protect its recently annexed territory on the Ukrainian